I want to introduce Shaun. He caught the filmmaking bug from his dad, Greg, who co-founded MacGillivray-Freeman in 1966. Shaun began going on filmmaking missions with his dad when he was in diapers, but it was really an encounter with a grouper that really sold him. And we'll talk about that later. Among the many 3D films he has produced since then are Journey to the South Pacific, To the Arctic and Grand Canyon Adventure, National Parks Adventure, and We the Marines. He's also hoping to produce Everest, Conquering Thin Air, so we don't have to worry about him getting mountain sickness. Shaun is president of MacGillivray-Freeman and leads the company's business development partnership team, helping to connect brand stories to his films. He received an MFA degree in film production from the University of Southern California. Whew. Okay, so tell us about the grouper.
About the grouper, okay. Yeah, so I was lucky enough to go on locations all over growing up. As Judy said, caught the film bug early. I've been a cheap extra in a lot of these movies. You'll see a little blonde-haired kid, going throughout all these films. And the grouper was specifically, we did a film called The Living Sea. It was based, a big part of it was in Palau. And this was when I was 13, and we were on a dive boat. And I hadn't really ever done that much diving before, but I went down, and in Palau they've got like these fish that, because they're protected, I mean, this grouper was seriously like this big. And it looked at me, I looked at him, I got scared out of my mind, and I went back up, but then I was like, I can't believe that I get to do this. And so that was one of the inspirations for, hey, if I get to do this when I'm older, something similar to what my dad does, and we can make it into a business, that'd be a pretty cool job.
So when did you start actually working with him?
Well, I mean, the free extra, being an extra on the film shoots,
right,
was my first job, and then after that I started doing a lot of the behind the scenes work and like the short film promos from high school in through college. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until after going to film school at USC that rolled up the sleeves and started producing with them.
Well, we've all seen 3D films and IMAX films, but I don't think we really appreciate what it takes to make it. Can you give us sort of an idea of how the process works? I mean, I hear the cameras alone are 250 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, it starts with, I mean, with all these films, it starts with having great partners, and so it's figuring out, okay, what's the topic that we want to work on, what works as far as the partners and putting together the funding, and then it comes down to the scripting. We do a script similar to what you do in Hollywood, but it's so different because of the documentary filmmaking. So a lot of times it changes and it really becomes telling the story through the editing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do. When we go on location, we've got probably a lot more equipment than typical documentary filmmakers. A lot bigger equipment. Yes, the camera. We have a couple cameras. We got one that's about 350 pounds. Takes 4 people to carry. It's 3D IMAX shot with two rolls of 15x70 film, but it looks amazing on a giant screen. And so it's depending on what we're shooting, we'll use different cameras. And now that the digital is getting a lot better, we're using a lot more, the highest resolution digital cameras as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what was your first collaboration with a brand?
First collaboration with a brand. I mean, we've worked with a lot of brands. Like our first collaboration was really was the first film that my dad created when it came to IMAX filmmaking. That was with Conoco. It was a DuPont company, Conoco, for To Fly, and that's still playing at the Smithsonian today. So wow. And so what you end up seeing is on the very beginning of the film, there's a credit that's basically talking about why Conoco did this film 40 years later. So that was our first, but we've worked with a variety of brands since, and we can go into talking about them, whether it's Dream Big or National Parks of Venture as we go forward.
I didn't cue you there, but I actually did
Got
want
it.
to talk about Dream Big right now. So
Okay.
can you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. So Dream Big was our last film this year. It premiered in February of 2017. This is a film where the American Society of Civil Engineers came to us and they said, we've got a problem. We don't have enough engineers in this space, specifically minorities and women. We need to inspire a group, we need to inspire more kids to get excited about engineering. There's not enough of K through 12 as far as getting people sparked on the subject. What can we do? And we said, we've got an amazing platform. We have museums and science centers around the world. We're both a production and a distribution company, and we get 25% of our audience from field school trips. And so they got excited, we got excited, we partnered together. They were our anchor partner, and we were able to get Bechtel Corporation and the SD Bechtel Jr. Foundation to put up, it ended up being all total about $15 million. So smaller than a Hollywood film, but bigger than a typical documentary film. That came to, we had a lot of marketing, a lot of co-op marketing, and a lot of educational outreach around it. The challenge for us was like, okay, how do you make a film on engineering for the giant screen sexy? It's like, it's not something that you immediately go, okay, this could be an amazing film. And so really, I mean, it was probably one of our most difficult films to make, but the way we solved it, and I'll show you a clip right after this, is by finding amazing characters that were women, minorities that you could really respond to and get inspired about. And it wasn't like the most crazy projects, but it was really emotional being able to tell their story. And so we can do the Dream Big clip right now.
I was a little guy, riding my little bicycle through rural Iowa and saying, well, I want to grow up and build that big bridge, and I want to be part of that big building.
My dad, he used to be a mechanic, so I would always see him putting stuff together and taking it apart. So I feel like some of that curiosity was in me.
I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to be an actress when I was younger. That was a dream at some point, but
the idea of like being able to build big things and contribute to the lives of people is the main reason why I wanted to go in.
I worked for an organization called Bridges to Prosperity. And there was a little boy named Rolo who came down to the site when we were first looking at the river, and he was the one that, as I'm walking down this hill and you see this little boy, he's walking across the river. And I just remember thinking, like, this is the way that he goes to school. I kind of had that eureka moment. This isn't just a bridge. This is a lifeline and a lifeblood for people. It's entirely life-changing.
We are saving thousands of people with our designs every day. People are using the infrastructure we've designed to get their water, to get to their works, and sometimes do not really pay attention how easy we are making the others' lives.
It's been so rewarding to see how many people I've been able to inspire. Not a lot of Latinas, not a lot of women that are going into engineering or believe that they can do it, because it's such a man-dominated field. So
to be able to go out and not let those boys push me off to the side.
I feel like that's been really, really rewarding.
It's just like what you want to be, what you're passionate about. If you dream and if you believe in yourself, you can be anything.
I think deciding to become an engineer is something that happens over time and then is like, boom, that's the thing I want to do.
In order for you to win, you have to believe that you've already won. And even if it sounds ridiculous to some people, being able to dream big is just going to set you up to be successful in no matter what you do.
So thank you. So this is a film right now that most of the people in the room, it seems like there's a lot of people from New York, a lot of people from LA, a lot of people from San Francisco. This is a film, our theaters, it'd be like the American Museum of Natural History in New York, it'd be California Science Center in LA, for San Francisco, the Tech Museum in San Jose. And they play the film for about a year, and then they typically continue to play it for the next 15, 20, depending on what their schedule is and what they want to do.
So,
and then it goes out to the typical, the Netflixes, that all the different ways that you typically put out a long form content.
so do brands generally come to you, or do you reach out to them? How does it work?
Yeah, it's both. I mean, it's fantastic when a brand comes to you. I mean, for the content producers out here, it's amazing when that happens. A lot of times it's putting together a concept that we think would be really exciting for a brand that could fit well, and one that we think would work really well for our audience. Our audience, it's giant screen experiences. It's family friendly. We get 25% of our audience, as I said, from school kids. You get you get seniors. It's basically from 4 to 94, and it's a higher average as far as income, and people that are a little bit more educated because they're going to the museums and science centers and aquariums. So it's that type of audience.
Right. And what about agencies? Do you generally work with agencies, or are they kind of disintermediated from the process? Or
yeah, I mean, it all each one's different, and each one depends on whether the brand wants the agency involved, or whether we're coming directly through the agency to the brand. Mm-hmm. I think each one's a little different, but as long as we get to make these movies and distribute them, we get excited either way.
Right. So here's another collaboration. Brand USA worked with you on National Parks Adventure. How did that start out?
Yeah, so Tracy Lanza is in the room here. She works at Brand USA. She heads up marketing. This was an incredible opportunity for us. We love working with Brand USA. They were our anchor partner. So what Brand USA does, they're a public-private partnership that about $125 million in marketing spend internationally, get international travelers to come to the U.S. And that's their goal. They've got about 13, 15 different countries that are most important. I mean, you can probably guess which ones those are. Canada, Mexico, China, UK, Brazil, India. And we work together on seeing what would be an incredible film to inspire travelers internationally to come to the U.S. And it happened to be the 100th anniversary of the National Park Service in 2016. For anybody who went to a national park in 2016, thank you. For us, it was an incredible project. It was one of those where I immediately after making it, going to about 30 different national parks around the U.S. I can't wait to take, my wife's here too, Katie, she's right there. I can't wait for us to do a road trip around the U.S. going to parks with, we've got a 6-year-old, 4-year-old, and 2-year-old. So the 2-year-old will be a little bit harder, with the road trip, but it was an incredible experience. And the way we worked it out was Brand USA was the anchor partner, and then we went out together and found additional partners, both endemic and non-endemic, to both help offset the costs of the film, but also put in a lot of in-kind dollars as well around the film. We had Expedia as an incredible partner there. They're endemic, obviously a partner of Brand USA as well. And then we had Subaru, which is a non-endemic partner, and they got really excited about it because they were doing a big zero landfill campaign. They have complete recycling across all their plants. They were already working with the National Park Service around figuring out how to make Yosemite a zero landfill, like having nothing go to landfill when it comes to the parks. And so they found it a great way to be able to tell that story through the movie. And we did have a Subaru. It was a road trip film, so there was a Subaru in the film. But as far as product placement, as you guys know, I mean, it's got to feel authentic to the story. And so that worked out really well. We had Conrad Anker, for those of you who are mountain climbers. He's climbed Everest 5 times. We had his son, his stepson, and Rachel Pohl, who's an incredible climber. And I don't know, has anybody seen the movie, National Parks Adventure? Oh, yeah, okay, so a few people. I like that. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Where is it playing? So it's still playing in a lot of places. Reuben H. Fleet Science Center in San Diego, California Science Center in LA. It's been playing at the Smithsonian for the last year and a half now. It's rolling out in China. These films play right now. National Parks Adventure. It's been about 120 cities around the world, playing in globally. About 25 different dialects. So these are global, and they play for about a year, and then we're just about to do a deal with Netflix for next year. So it's for us, it's exciting getting people inspired about coming to these places, inspired about the products, all of that. And a big thing for us as working with Brand USA was we did research afterwards, and 81% of the people that saw it were more interested, more inclined to go into the U.S. afterwards. So that was a big deal. And we worked with our theaters around providing that research.
We have a clip from that too, don't we?
Yeah, let's put up the trailer. So lucky to get Robert Redford as the narrator. He was awesome.
Not so long ago, the early pioneers had no idea what lay beyond the frontier. Imagine an entire continent of unmapped wilderness and a people who believe that the greatest natural wonders belong to no one. They belong to all. 100 years ago, these pristine places, America's wild, were protected. For eternity, for everyone. And the national parks were born. Join a team of modern-day explorers on an off-trail adventure into America's great outdoors. And find your way back to the most awe-inspiring, heart-stopping, jaw-dropping places that belong to us all. MacGillivray-Freeman's National Parks Adventure.
Cool. Thank you. So we were proud to say it was the highest grossing documentary of the year for 2016. Beat out Hillary's America, which was like, it did about 13 million. This did about 26 million. And one funny little story. So for those of you who have seen it, we end with the song from Bruce Springsteen, his rendition of "This Land Is Your Land." And when we first approached him and his people, because you don't really get to speak directly with Bruce, we had it in our rough cuts. And we were like, this is the perfect song. And him playing it, it's amazing. And the lawyers said, no way, we never let that cover. We never, it's live version, we never let anybody use it. Well, we came back to him with exactly how it was being cut about 6 months later, because we kept on using it. We loved it so much in the rough cuts. And we showed it to him, and he looked at it, and he said, you have to use that song. And we don't pay like the big bucks, like, the big Hollywood brands. And so he's really doing it because he cares about the content, cares about the subject, and is passionate about it. And it's the same way with Robert Redford. Like, it's because he cared about the national parks. And you're always trying to get them to do as much as they can from both a PR and a content standpoint. And for us, we were really excited. Robert Redford, he typically doesn't do that much TV, but we got him to narrate. We did an 8-part TV series with the Travel Channel, and one of their biggest budgets that they'd done before, and we got him to narrate it, and primarily because of our association already with him for the IMAX film. So that was a big coup as well. We were psyched about that.
Not bad.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about financials. You mentioned $15 million, I think, but how does it like really work, and how does it work for the partners? Do they put the money up first, and then do they get any of the back end? Or can you give us a range on what these projects might be?
Yeah, so we talked a little bit on the breakout session, like different ways of monetizing. I mean, for us, we work with partners in a variety of different ways. When it comes to an anchor partner, a lot of times we're just saying, look, you guys own the film, you own the IP, you're going to get revenue, ticket sales back from that. We'll make money off the production and a distribution fee. And then we'll go out with you to raise additional capital from other partners to offset your costs. And so that's worked out really well. That's how we did it. And we are doing it with Brand USA, and how we've done it with a variety of other partners as well.
Mm-hmm. So can
about
you give
$10
us a
million
range?
for production budget, $2.5 million to $5 million for how much you want to do for marketing. And then what we've been able to do is like for National Parks Adventure, we worked with Wanda, we worked with Youku, we worked with REI, we worked with Sunset Magazine, and all total our in-kind was about $35 million outside of the cash as well. So it's all about making these films an event. I mean, as somebody said yesterday, I mean, there is so much content out there. It's like, how can you make it feel like it's as big as possible? And so for us, I think it's twofold. It's not only having the experience of it being in theaters and kind of making it feel big and being able to draw a lot of earned media around that, right. But also then being able to set up for a great streaming service with Youku, or great streaming with Netflix, to be able to draw more audience through that. And what we try and do is, with each film, from the green light through, as we're going on location, you're creating short form content to get people excited about the project, get them informed, and working with as many partners as possible.
Yeah, that's my question. Is there a limit? You know?
I mean, the limit is I mean, obviously there's exclusivity when it comes to industry partners.
Right.
But the limit is really how much we can, do business development around finding the right partners and the right fit. It's got to be the right fit, and the right topic.
Did you ever have someone come to you who was not the right fit? And what do you do in that case?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be a tough question. Yes, I think so. I've actually never had it where, like, I mean, so when you look at the museums and science centers and aquariums, tobacco would be tough. I mean, obviously. Firearms would be tough. I mean, you can kind of think, yeah, it's like, I mean, this is kids too. And then there's obviously alcohol, but we have worked with brands around their foundations when it comes to alcohol, because there are great brands that are out there that are doing amazing stuff. Firearms and tobacco, I don't know if we'll work with when it comes to our giant screens. Yes.
So I want to switch gears a little bit. What was the hairiest situation you were ever on a shoot?
Oh, hairiest situation. So we did a film called To the Arctic. We worked with Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola's here. I saw Tara today. And that was a film where obviously we were up in the Arctic. We went to Svalbard, Norway. We went to the Arctic Refuge. We went to Churchill, Manitoba, which is the polar bear capital of the world. Has anybody heard of Churchill, Manitoba? Raise your hand. Okay, so it's like, this is an incredible, like, bucket list stuff. Once you actually see this, you're going to want to go. It's the only place where you can take a freaking Tundra buggy, which is a pimped out school bus with huge tires, and you can go out on the ice, and polar bears will come right up to you, and you're standing, like, they have like a little deck where the Tundra buggy is, and you're standing, and the polar bear, like a 9-foot polar bear, will come up, and you can basically kiss the polar. Like, I wouldn't kiss the polar bear, but you could kiss the polar bear. And I mean, we actually saw some of the trail guides actually kiss a polar bear, and that's not smart. Like, you basically get your head ripped off, but you're so close to them. So our closest thing to craziness was in Svalbard, Norway. It was when we had an icebreaker. We were filming polar bears up there. It's an incredible place. You basically, and we'll see a little clip of this, but it's one of the only places in the world where you can see polar bears jumping from ice floe to ice floe. And people have seen it like Planet Earth, stuff like that. It's amazing. And so we ended up following a mother polar bear and her 2 cubs for 5 days straight. And as part of the film, that became the kind of the main story of the movie. And it was incredible for us. Well, while we were there was a guy that was kayaking around Svalbard. You should not be kayaking around Svalbard. I mean, this is the very stupidest thing in the world. While we were there, he was camping, and he got attacked by a polar bear. And the polar bear went into his tent. There was 2 guys. The polar bear stood on the rifle, so they couldn't get the rifle. The rifle got bent in half because of the polar bear's weight. Grabbed this one guy and dragged him out of the tent, lifted him up so that he was basically, the only way he was still surviving and wasn't strangled was he was on his tippy toes, because the polar bear was they're 9 feet when they stand up. Luckily for him, his buddy was able to go into the kayak, grab a gun, and he shot the polar bear. Sad for the polar bear. But the guy survived, and when we got back from being out there for about 3 weeks, we were at this bar, and we see this guy, and he's got a bandage around his head, and he's dancing. It was the freaking guy.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. I'm going, what the heck? You should not be drinking right now. I mean, what the heck?
I don't know. If I got attacked by a polar bear, I'd have a drink.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. So he survived.
We do have a clip of Arctic Home, right?
Yeah. So just to set this up, this is a case study, a short case study talking about our partnership with Coca-Cola and the World Wildlife Fund. And it was an incredible partnership for us. And I think it inspired a lot of people to care about the polar bears, but also to create this Arctic refuge for polar bears up in Canada.
Over the last 50 years, MacGillivray-Freeman has created the most beautiful and dynamic stories for the giant screen. But the value of our stories isn't limited to the theater.
A lot of companies and major brands have really interesting and effective corporate social responsibility campaigns. But what's really special about what we have to offer at MacGillivray-Freeman is really a way to communicate that to the public in an authentic, a trusted, and an entertaining way.
Coca-Cola and the World Wildlife Fund started the Arctic Home campaign to bring awareness and raise funds to help establish a high Arctic refuge. We brought what we're best at to help achieve those goals.
We are forging ahead to create awareness for our consumers to understand better what they can also do towards ensuring that these beautiful animals can also be enjoyed by many generations in the future.
The Coca-Cola Company could not possibly have captured what the life of a polar bear really is. This campaign required a level of expertise that a typical Madison Avenue advertising agency would not have had.
We're really excited to be part of the Arctic Home campaign and to be able to share our footage and breathe life and emotion and beauty into this campaign in a way that would be difficult to get.
MacGillivray-Freeman Films has partnered with us to combine our reach and distribution with their amazing film storytelling to engage the public.
And what we can really offer is a very open and collaborative process with which we engage our partners in storytelling and conveying messaging for the long term. And there's great value to all of us in embracing the power of an entertainment platform, a major corporate brand, and a powerful NGO to really create kind of a trifecta of the ultimate in corporate social responsibility.
$1.4 billion Coke cans turned white. Commercials with our footage were seen all over the world, with over 1.2 billion media impressions, all resulting in over $4 million raised for Arctic Home.
Well, the thing that really struck me with that, outside of it just being gorgeous footage, was that Muhtar Kent was actually on set with you. That goes to show that you have pretty high-level access. I mean, is that generally how it works?
And that goes to show that the Churchill, polar bear capital of the world, is an incredible place. So everybody should go there. Yeah, I mean, it was amazing for us being able to be there with him for a couple days. Yeah, I think that doesn't happen often, and we understood how incredible. And Ryan Seacrest, and that was back when he was dating Julianne Hough, so she was up there too. No, it was pretty special.
Was he narrating or something, or why was Ryan there? I'm just curious.
He was there because he's good friends with Coca-Cola.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, American Idol.
Yeah.
Yep.
We did mention the white Coke cans, though. That kind of ended up not being what you guys had planned, or what Coca-Cola had planned.
Yeah, they quickly turned them back red after doing those white Coke cans. I think there was a little too many people that that thought they were drinking a regular Coke. No, we're thinking that they were drinking a Diet Coke when it was a regular Coke, which was an issue, especially for diabetics.
Okay. That was a seamless integration, because the polar bears have been a symbol for Coke for years, and they've done, you know, commercials around them and all that. But there's other ones that didn't seem as seamless, or they just didn't seem as obvious, let's put it that way. And I had seen that for Grand Canyon Adventure, you had a tie-in with Kohler. And it was for water conservation. I get that part, but it's like, what are they going to do? Put a toilet in a canoe or something? But they had a really cool way of fitting in. So you can tell us what the promotion actually ended up being.
Yeah. No, this was fun. So for Grand Canyon Adventure, our partners were Teva, the sandal company, and then Kohler. And Kohler came on board because it was a film about water conservation while going on an incredible rafting trip down the Grand Canyon, getting to experience that in IMAX. And as Kohler's activation, outside of, we had an in credit where it was like, these are things that you could do as far as, you know, call to action around saving water, and we had a Kohler toilet as part of it. And that was the in credits, so a little bit different from actually being in the movie. We had it, so they did a road trip basically with amazing Kohler toilets, so that there was a Kohler toilet in each lobby that played the film domestically. And you could experience it. I don't know how many people actually sat down, but I mean, you could experience it. They had it wherever it played, they installed new Kohler toilets in the urinals and stuff like that, in the restrooms. And it was a big deal for them. They actually won a big award around water conservation and activating around a film for it. And so we love that too.
Cool. All right, so what advice are you going to give someone at a company who's considering doing something like this?
Talk with me.
Obviously.
That's about it. Yeah. I mean, it all becomes a collaboration, and I think as you look towards all the different platforms that are out there, we have a very unique platform, and it's a platform that I think brands are starting to realize is something that is really interesting. And there's a lot that you can do, and we've got amazing partners, distribution partners, when it comes to these museums, science centers, and aquariums. And you know, from being able to do family events on the weekends to being able to do, you know, specific, I mean, these are great places to hold events as well. So that becomes a big part. And then for us too, it comes down to, like, we're producing, obviously this is a 40-minute film, but we're producing a ton of content around it. And being able to have where this is one pillar of a media strategy where you're using that content around a lot of your commercials and stuff like that, I think works really well.
But you did refer to authenticity before, so
it's really
got to be the right fit for your brand, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be the right fit both for them, obviously, and then also for getting it out there to our giant screen theaters.